but we still have some work to do, and I want to begin quickly as possible. So welcome, I am your host, Apostle Suzanne Howard. I'm wondering, with this pandemic and in our time of quarantine, how much well care have you been involved in? I'm also wondering, have you learned anything about yourself during quarantine time? What are some of the things that those you were quarantined with have told you about yourself that perhaps you didn't know about? Well, in case you're not really sure to any of the answers to those questions that I've just asked, what we can discuss is what are some of your triggers? What are some of the things that triggers you? What has triggered you to respond in the way you have throughout your life and especially during quarantine? So, welcome back and let's begin. More often than we'd like to admit, we act against our own interest. Our own interest. Just looking at your current day, this week, how many times have you chosen to engage in something at your own expense? All the while knowing that it's not what you should be doing. You may even be doing it right now. You might be thinking, nope, not me. I'm as logical and rational as they come. And that might be true, but you are still human and therefore subject to human impulses. I want you to consider this. I want you to consider this following thought. You're texting or chatting with someone that you're romantically interested in. Things appear to be going well. In fact, you make jokes about visiting a favorite place together. However, suddenly they disappear, completely disappear from sight. And for all intents and purposes, they go radio silent on you. Do you rationally and logically conclude that they've lost interest and immediately move on? Or do you get stuck? Do you get stuck about wondering if they've been hit by a hurricane that could have prevented them from replying to you? Or maybe they lost your number somehow. Do you remember the days of old when you would pick up the receiver in the house and make sure all the phones were on the hook? Does something about your interests being relatively unavailable trigger something in you that makes you reach out and desire more? Might you be tempted to do impulsive, objectively responsive or irresponsive behavior? Let's take it one step further. You see a homeless adult begging on the sidewalk. You might be able to look past this depending on how accustomed you are to such sights. You might even be able to ignore it completely. Now replace that adult with two children, both blind. They're crying for their mother, who they claim was taken from them, leaving them to fend for themselves. To boot, they have a tiny kitten with them, who is meowing loudly out of hunger. It's quite a heart-wrenching scene. Do your feelings change based on the emotions that such a scene evokes? Do you feel some sort of natural impulse to ease this group's suffering based on your sympathy or your pity? In both of these scenes, circumstances have changed, so it may have caused you to make up your mind at first and then flipped the opposite way once your emotions were put into play. These are the small ways in which we are pushed and pulled in our daily lives. For a lack of a better term, we can refer to them as psychological triggers. Psychological triggers are things that tug on our heartstrings and other instincts and demand our attention. They create impulses in us to act immediately and often in irrational ways. They are the all too human ways of leaping before looking. and they've been bred into us. More often than not, and certainly more often than we'd like to admit. They are distracting our actions, and you may not think much of them, but once you begin to realize just how widespread and common your psychological triggers really are in your life, you're going to be amazed. What I've given you is just some examples about emotions and emotional arousal. When our minds are clouded with rage or fear, it's clear that we seek fast action, not accurate or even smart action. You'll see this pattern repeated in about every area of your life. That's because psychological triggers can be just about anything. From the people around you, the environment you inhabit, or natural human instincts that are biological drives, and yes, every single emotion. Well, that's it for me today. I'm going to see you tomorrow morning. It's our session, it's you and I together, and we're going to dig deep and find out what are some of your triggers, what are the things that bug you psychologically, and then we're going to help you to isolate yourself from the command center of emotions. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. Please subscribe to YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, our website, SuzanneMHoward.com. Notifications on. A lot of people inbox me, I didn't know you were on. Turn the notifications on. Subscription is not enough. And I'll see you on here, same time, same station. I believe we were at 7:38 a.m. weekdays with Soul Solutions. And I pray for prosperity in every barren area of your life. God bless you.